is really
Yeah.
what it is, and not knowing how to converse and communicate with each other. See, the issue is men and women communicate absolutely differently, and that's the basis that you have to realize. Men communicate in a very linear way, women communicate in a very, what I'm saying, like an emotional way, for lack of a better term. And it's the feeling behind what a woman is saying that she's trying to articulate to you at any given time. When a man is talking, generally speaking, he means what he says and he says what he means exact. However, most women, when they hear from the way that they communicate, and they don't really hear what you're saying. They hear what they want you to say, or they hear what they think that you mean, or they hear what. So it's really a lack of communication, and a lack of that's really what the basis is, a lack of good communication between men and women, I think.
So what I was going to say is this: there's no need for conflict resolution when you go into these situations and you're actually building the foundation for a relationship. Of course, people have different communication styles. It really has nothing to do with gender. It more so has to do with your socioeconomic trials and travels through life. Because to be quite frank, very transparent, a lot of the issues that people be talking about on these spaces and relationships, I've never had to deal with them ever. Because at the end of the day, if you're sitting there and you're building a foundation with someone, even if you don't agree, of course, there's been moments where I've not agreed with someone, but it's never been a big blow up thing. It's like, you know what? We're not seeing eye to eye. Let's table it and come back and have a discussion again and really flush everything out at another point when cooler heads prevail.
But didn't
People
you
sit
need
there.
to choose to walk away though? But I mean, haven't you dissolved those same relationships, and haven't they ended in the, so to speak,
No,
type of
they
way?
evolved. No, they evolved.
And that is a form of
Because
conflict.
just because a relationship can no longer exist in a certain paradigm doesn't mean that it can't shift and transform into something new. But in order to be able to do that, you have to really be able to flesh out the principles and the basis to what the disagreement resolves around. At the end of the day, it's very easy to be happy with people if you're not immediately jumping into bed with them, if you're actually exploring their personality archetype, who they are, where they come from socioeconomically. Are you evenly yoked? Do you walk the same path in life? Do you have the same ambitions? The reality is, we'll see something that looks good, but everything that looks good is not good for you. You have to have discernment to know what's good for you.
The
I agree
reality
with
is
that
opposite
aspect
attract.
of it.
I don't
Reality
think I don't
opposite attract.
I don't think everybody has that level of experience to have discernment. That's the thing. Because I mean, to get at a point like, for example, where I'm at, and maybe it's my own anecdotal experience. I think like coming from where I grew up and where he grew up, also like it was a big clash in our personalities. And yeah, I was very barbaric, and so was he. And I think that we had to learn each other, and it wasn't always like rainbows and butterflies. If anyone clipped any piece of us arguing in the beginning of our relationship, shit, even 2 months ago, I would have been on, World Star real fucking quick, and it wasn't for anything amazing. So it sucks, but I think that we have to acknowledge, like, even the Steven Crowder video of him and his wife. I don't agree with someone talking that way, but I think that some of these things stem from like our past relationships or even our relationship with our families and the things that we've only ever known. Like Deb said prior to this, is like we only know these are what we consider our values, our principles, and our habits and how we communicate. And we have to at least address it. Sometimes it has to be a little bit of a conflict. It's not always like rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah, but I mean, even if it's not rainbows and butterflies, if you know yourself, that's when discernment comes in, I think. And I think so many people are looking for connections that they forget to first connect with themselves. When you're at peace with yourself and you know who you are, you can create an environment of peace for somebody else, even if their way of thinking is on the whole other side of the map. Because there is a way to draw someone in or broach topics with people that they may not be comfortable with and they may not like nor enjoy, and still get them to hear you. You may not pull them over to your side on conversation number 1 or number 2, but this is when you progress in your relationship and you get to learn people. And I mean, I know you're fairly newlywed, so in marriage especially, like, people always think that in relationships you have to be up on each other all the time, right?
Mhm.
I'm of the mindset that you have to have time away. You
Yeah.
literally have to have time to miss
Yes.
someone, to appreciate them, to let some of the conversations that y'all are having when you are together resonate. I think giving space and room and freedom, it allows people to just be who they are. And I think a lot of people also want to change the person that they're with to be what it is that they want, instead of realizing, like, if I dated Rudy, if I dated Rudy, if Rudy is who he is, hey, he might like Star Wars and like going to all the Marvel things, Comic-Con and everything else. I'm not going to say, oh my God, Rudy, you're spending too much money doing that. Oh my
No, you're on the
God,
money
that's
so far with
sad.
everything. Like, you're absolutely right so far.
But, I think this is how
She's been stalking you, Rudy.
I know, like, oh, this is like
Right.
following me. What's going on?
this sounds more of like a mature conversation. I think Robbie and Rudy, this is more of like a more mature panel. I think that the other panels that I've had, like with younger people, it's more so like they don't even know who they are, and they don't know who they're dating. They don't know social awareness. They don't know anything. They don't know discernment. They don't even know what that means. They have to Google that. These are things that I think that at a certain place in your life, you have to know who you are and you could speak on it. Because I agree 1,000% everything you're saying on Robbie. I had myself had to figure this out, but I can't say I've always been this way. And I can't say he's always been that way. And I think that what you're saying is kind of rare, because I think that people give up when it gets to that rocky point and they themselves haven't developed who they are yet to even understand the other person.
And Angela, everything I just want to say real quick for the past 5 minutes, Robbie, Ruthless, everybody who's mentioned anything is absolutely correct. And if you look at the common denominator on what it takes to get there is discipline, self-awareness, and realizing you've got to change. And I think all the problems that we're talking about in relationships when it comes to communication, I think a lot of people aren't ready for relationships because they don't know how to communicate. They haven't had enough life experience and they haven't developed, and they haven't, looked inwards and say, hey, I need to work on myself. And the inner peace you talked about, Robbie, yeah, I totally agree with that. But to be honest, I'm 47 and I didn't know the man I was and who I am until I was 33. I'm going to be honest. So for anybody in their 20s who hasn't had enough experience and maybe not enough wins and losses, it's kind of tough to get there. So it takes time to be at that point. I think we all could agree on that.
Yeah, Rudy, I think real quick, I think that that's what I was saying, and I get a lot of pushback, but I absolutely think that people should wait, get to know themselves, get to be in tune with who they are before they start exploring and trying to get with other people. And you're right, that takes time. But I mean, I think that's a mindset in our age group, because I'm the same age you are. I'm 47. And so, being that age, you kind of, like you said, we've been through the phases in our 20s. We've seen it. We know what it is. Then we've got in our 30s. We know how we started to change a mindset. And then 40s is like, it's a whole different mindset that you wouldn't even believe until you get there.
I say to Angela's point, it's how much you value something too. How much do you really want it? When you really want that job, this is your dream job, you will do what it takes.
Go get it.
Right?
Yeah.
Same way, if people treat their dream job like they treat the relationship the same, right? Conflict resolution wouldn't be a problem, to Robbie's point, right? It would be just easy. It'd be easy to lose an argument and come back and talk about it later and not have to be right about everything. Or it'd be easier to listen to understand instead of listen to respond, right? Because this is the most valuable thing to you. This is the one thing you don't want to lose in this world.
But Ruthless, do people lose their dream job?
Some by chance, yes. But my point
no. Let me tell you why people lose their dream job. It's for one or two reasons. Number one, they wasn't prepared for the job, and they wasn't adequately prepared, meaning they wasn't competent in the job that they was doing for whatever reason. Or number two, the company is not a soluble company, and the company collapses and dissolves. And both of those things come with time. And so
Yep.
just because you desire something doesn't mean that that's what you should go after, because things in life are really about timing. And that's a lesson that a
Yeah.
lot of people don't really understand.
Okay, but
This
I understand what
is-
you're saying, Israel. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm talking about is the passion and inspiration that you have for this job, right? That's what I'm talking about, the inner person. I'm not talking about the aesthetics and how everything works. In your relationship, right, when it comes down to it, when it all comes down to it, really, right? Are you able to forgive and move on?
Right.
Are you ever really to have a conversation so that we can come to something that we both can be happy about? Are you really ready to do what it takes? Most people they're being disingenuous. They have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and they really don't understand the vows that they're taking. So my point is this, right? We all have wanted something so much, right? That we're anything almost to get it. But when you get that one thing, when you finally get it, right? Are you willing to do what it takes?
But I'm glad that you said that, because this is another point that people don't look at in relationships as well. Are you vindictive? Are you
Right.
trying to get with
Ooh.
somebody because you actually enjoy them? Are you getting with them to make an ex mad? Are you getting with them to prove a point? Are you holding on to your past trauma and your nonsensical nonsense? Because that's what I hear a lot in these, in these conversations. Oh, well, all women are like this. No, all women aren't like that. It just so happens you have a really bad picker, and the last 3, 4, 5, 10 women that you picked were like that, which means there's something flawed in you that you keep drawing that negative energy. So when people are talking and they're speaking death over their future relationships, you're really talking about yourself. Like, you're really projecting to the world your innermost flaws, because this is all that you qualify for and this is all that you're worthy of. I'm gonna be quiet though.
I'll give you a
Oh,
point.
I mean, I actually agree with that 1000%. But I don't think that. I guess there's so many nuances in this conversation when it comes to that, because, like to touch what Ruthless said, can you forgive somebody? And I think that when people hear that, they think like, why should I forgive someone so if she does this? But I think that what was the intention behind the mistake? We don't often address that enough, because if someone makes a mistake as you're trying to learn each other and evolve with each other, probably from habits that we've created from being, by ourselves and creating ourselves, these like scars and these callous wounds that we create from being who we are before we meet the person that we want to be with the rest of our life, we have to make some sort of a compromise. And it goes back to that, like, maybe this was a mistake and I need to understand that and this will never happen again, but we need to talk about this, instead of thinking like, oh, red flag, cut this person out. I'm not dealing with this bullshit again. I don't see how that's healthy for a long-lasting relationship. So I think that's where it ties back into like, how bad do you want the job? Because if I want the job enough, I want the person enough, I will try to understand where this mistake came from, and I have to make sure like, hey, we need to talk about why this hurts, why this should
Yeah.
never happen again,
Ma-
and how we can prevent this for the future. And before I continue with anything, I gotta read the super chat. So excellent conversation. Appreciate you guys. $10. Thank you, Spartacus. Okay, go ahead.
May I ask you a quick question, and then
Yeah,
I'd like
man.
to hold on, Rufus, real quick. May I ask you a quick question, and then I would like to follow it up with saying something. Haven't you had a situation that you wanted something so bad, and then you got what you said that you wanted, and then you was disappointed or you was done with it soon after you got it, because the feeling that you thought that you would get by attaining that thing was nowhere near what the feeling that you got when you got it?
Who you talking?
Just
talking
I'm
to
asking
me?
in a panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, in general.
Oh.
I think we've all been there at one
We've
point,
been-
either a relationship
anytime-
or a
no,
car or
okay.
something like that. Yeah.
That you
That
wanted
goes
it
back-
I go
really
to
bad,
Burger King,
and then
honestly.
you got it, and then you got it, and then
that
that
goes back-
feeling was
And that goes back to
Yeah.
reciprocation.
no, hold on. So no. It goes back to really, if in a long-term relationship, especially in marriage, it's about being committed to your commitment. It's not about a feeling, because we all can identify that feelings grow and feelings wane. And if you've been in a relationship long enough, you know that you go through different phases at different times. You could be feeling a person one day, and the next person they can't stand the look in their face. Then the next day you're all mushy and in love, and the next day, so we go through different phases. So it's not about a feeling, it's about being committed to what you committed to and staying and being solid on that. That's what it's about. Not about, yo, you wanted it so bad. So because we've all wanted things so bad, got it. And then it was like, damn, like I thought I was gonna feel like that. I don't even want that no more. You know what I mean?
I guess it depends on how you got it. Like I think that if we worked for something, you'd be happy that you worked for something, you accomplished it. But if you got it just because you wanted it, I think that's the ultimate feeling of like, damn, I thought I wanted it, but when I got it, it wasn't what I thought because we didn't cross our T's and dot our I's to recognize what we signed up for. But when you work for something, you cultivate it from scratch. I think you ultimately see what your end game and your end prize is. So I guess when you say that broadly, it really depends on what we're talking about because it really depends. Like if it was a job that I really wanted and I got it just because I was a girl, I'm gonna find out that it wasn't actually the job I wanted. But if it was a relationship that I really wanted, I busted my ass to really learn myself and learn the other person. So the chances of me throwing it away because of how I felt for 1 second, it wouldn't override the entire relationship as to something that I got in 2 seconds just for being a girl.
I strongly disagree. That's the reason why a lot of people break up. A lot it's called making permanent decisions based on temporary situations. That's what really was legitimately called making permanent decisions based on temporary situations, and people do it all day, every day. It's called lack of impulse control. It's called instant gratification. There's a lot of names for it and a lot of terminology that describes this very phenomenon that human beings face each and every day.
It's called the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, but
Isn't
I think
objective permanence.
What'd you say?
Like your ability to does a fight with someone end your relationship, or is it just another fight you're gonna have in your lifetime friendship? So your object permanence, basically.
It just depends, though, because we know people. Some people,
a lot of people have poor object permanence, is what I was kind of getting at today. There's my point. My bad.
No, yeah.
It was irrelevant, guys.
No, you're good. You're good. It just, I mean,
it was not irrelevant. It was good.
It was good. Yeah, I would agree with you.
I think that I maybe we're not talking on the same points, Izzy, but I would have to say that I don't think people just break up. The only reason why someone would just break up because of a feeling is because there's probably no foundation. But if there's a foundation, then somebody must have been tolerating something long enough to have the straw that broke the camel's back. Which means both people or one person's ignoring the impact that they're leaving on the other person. So if they decide to break up because of a feeling, you wouldn't tolerate disrespect in a relationship back to back to back to back. So if you felt you're being disrespected, you're saying one should tolerate that?
No, but respectfully, Angela, listen, if women wouldn't lead the charge for divorce if it wasn't about a feeling. Respectfully, it is literally feelings that make people get divorced. That's literally what does it. And the reason why 80%, the reason why 80% of the divorces are filed by women is because it's fueled by emotions and feelings.
There's way more than that, man.
Way more.
Tons more than that.
When you boil it down,
but you're only saying it from one. If a woman decides to initiate a divorce, you don't think that anywhere in there that a man has already checked out of the relationship? Just because he doesn't make a move, it doesn't mean he also doesn't contribute to why the relationship failed. Because she decided to make a move.
There's no way to quantify that. I'm not saying that. I think that two people do have a party in the relationship. At the same time, most men will be willing to stick it out, while most women are not willing to stick it out. Apparently, they just like they're done with the situation.
But why would one?
Have you been married or divorced?
Yes.
Which one?
Both.
Okay.
Why did you divorce? Why did you marry in? I was a horrible husband, and I filed. That's why mine ended. But of course, there's some things she did, but I was a bad husband, so I own that shit. So,
Jesus, be offense, Lord. Thank you.
But why did yours end? If you don't mind me asking.
Because she was a bad wife.
Okay, but did she start off being a bad wife, or did she ended up being a bad wife?
No, she started off. It was. I was married really young. And I
22.
Yeah, I was around that age. I was a little
21.
young, and I never should have got married at that time. I never should have got married.
Yeah. So
agree.
it goes down to saying, like, if you're saying, like, it boils down to feelings, like women's feelings. It's not just women's feelings, it's men's actions also, why it instigates her feelings. It's a two people party. So when we go off these misleading stats and saying, like, we can point it, and I'm not saying that you're pointing at women, but most people would just directly say it is a woman's fault based on her feelings as to why she initiated divorce. If you were married to a woman for 5 years and y'all didn't have sex for 5 years, and you just said, you know what, I'm just gonna go get my things finished somewhere else and just probably whack off in a sock or something while she's cooking and cleaning and raising your legacy, and she decides to initiate for divorce, I don't think she's wrong for that. And if someone says, well, because you feel like you're being neglected.
I guess, Angela, I'm not pointing finger or placing blame. That wasn't the argument. The argument was when you were saying to me, what I interpreted it was when you said that most people don't get divorced by feelings. My argument was, yes, most people do get divorced by feelings, and that's why women are the ones to file divorce. So it's not a finger pointing exercise or a blame placement. It's just saying, and not to negate the responsibility of men or the culpability of men in this situation. It's just saying that women file by and large, and it's mostly because of their emotion or their emotional response to whatever it is. That's
or they were in an abusive relationship, and
well, I mean,
they were
yeah,
being
and all of
abused
that.
and physically, emotionally, and
Rudy,
they tried
all
for
of
10
that
years,
stuff.
and
All
they
of
couldn't
it.
get them to change.
All
But do
of
we
it,
think
Rudy.
that feelings have facts? Like there's a fact behind it, or do we just think that feelings are irrational?
No, but I think what we're doing is we're conflating the argument, right? Because I just took it on the surface level of what you said, right? You said that I don't think that women, your exact words were, I don't think women would get divorced based on feelings, right? That was your exact words. So my argument was, no, women
Wait,
do
I didn't say divorce. I said ending relationships because I didn't know where we're going as far as divorce.
Okay. Ending
I thought we were
relationship.
like fresh relationships. Like,
Yeah,
go ahead.
okay, no problem. But I correlated it to divorce, which I could substantiate with stats that 80% of the divorces filed are filed by women, and it's emotional. It's emotional.
I can't
For
stand when
whatever
people.
reason.
I can't stand when people use that stat as
And I'm-
as if they don't truly understand how divorces actually occur. Let me give you a brief synopsis of how divorces actually occur.
Actually, before you do, I want to try and follow up with the stat that came by. That stat, 80% of divorces are mainly filed by women, came from a study that's done by a national professor that's actually doing a dating mainstream dating back to 2009. So literally approximately 14 years ago where that study literally took place. That's where the statistic came from.
That's not where I got that stat from, but it's okay. I'll show you where I got the stat from. Go
that's fine. I'll check to make sure.
It's not from 2009. Yeah. It's actually from 2019 where I got the stat. But go ahead. Rob.
Yeah, no, look.
So this is how divorce actually happens: is that couples have disagreements about little stuff. Oh, you left the toothpaste all over the thing. Oh, you shaved your beard and there's hair everywhere. And those arguments are never resolved because they get swept under the rug. Everybody kisses each other's behind. They move on to the next situation. Another argument happens. Oh, I want a divorce. Then they wind up patching up the situation. And that word gets bandied about for a period of time before the divorce is actually filed. When we're looking at who files for divorce, a lot of men say they want a divorce and then they leave the home, maybe because they have a mistress, maybe because they no longer want to be in the situation, but they never follow through and actually go and file the paperwork. I know plenty of women that have been stuck in relationships forever and a year because they have had the divorce contested because the husband wanted to be bitter and hold on, or because he just didn't want to file and he done disappeared somewhere. Now she has to hire private investigators to find where he is because he's moved on with a mistress. Like, I think it's such a disingenuous talking point when people sit there and they say that. Yeah, a lot of men actually stay married. A lot of men stay married so they don't have to get married to the next woman that they engage with. So there's a lot of factors that play into that. And when people pull out that one stat and try to shift the blame to women, these are people that I know still have a lot of growing up to do when it comes down to relationships.
Okay, so I don't know if you're able to pull this up, Angela, But
Yeah.
the Gray Pill podcast wanted me to wanted the facts. So now I think this study was as of December 8th, I think it is 2022.
2019. Oh,
I'm looking at it, it says December 8th, 2022. And as of December 8th, 2022, I think it's a law firm. They said that 70% now, 70% of divorces are filed by women.
And you
And
know
that's
what?
women across the board.
You know, and Izzy's right. I've had a couple of attorneys, a male and a female attorney, divorce attorneys on my podcast, asking who files, and they said it's women. And they brought up a good point. Everyone, that's the end result. Has anybody ever considered why they're filing
Nope.
or what happened? I mean, she filed, yes, but was he a shit husband? What's going on? There's so much more to it. There's financial. There's so many variables, and everyone's situation is different. We have to look at like what led to it.'s go to the beginning. Let's talk about that.
Well,
And
like,
What led her to that?
like,
and to follow Rudy's point,
just to interject, right?
Okay.
Is here when it comes down, that's all of that's subjective, right?
right?
We want to argue semantics, right? Oh, well, whose fault was it, or who checked out, or who checked in, right? In and out. That's what the burger's all about. But what we really need to get down to understand is, as people, when we get married and we take those wedding vows, right, and we set that foundation down, right? You have to understand it's going to be a bumpy road, and you have to understand that this is a long process, and it's not going to be perfect. So therefore, if you're a quitter, and if you're quitting because you thought it was going to be easy, and you thought it was going to be just this, this fantasy, fact of fiction type relationship, then you're disingenuous. So I say to people who file for divorce, and who, for the most part, I just believe that they were being disingenuous in the beginning, and that they were always marrying to, if things didn't work out, they would leave.
Well,
Now I want to try and just dig into
real
the
quick.
whole site that they have here. Number one, where did they get that source from? The whole 70%? Is there like an accurate source that they
Well,
picked that file from?
Hold on,
And
real
two,
quick.
how many overall people have mainly who actually mainly saw a divorce, and what's the number of people, number of females and males that mainly saw from divorce nationwide and also by state? We also have to factor those in as well. And there's going to be like some skewed numbers from state to state based on various laws that they have within per state on who divorced who out of like the thousands, out of the millions.
This is
So
across
even
the
them,
country.
it's-
This is across the country, sir. It says right here, divorce statistics in the United States. While the numbers have a decline from the astonishing 50% mark, meaning of new marriages, an estimated 41% of first marriages still end in divorce. So it went down 9%. For subsequent marriages, the number increases dramatically to 60% of second marriages and an astonishing 73% of third marriages. So this is across the United States. Divorce by gender. When it comes to men and women, there's a clear answer as to who is filing for divorce. More often, nearly 70% of divorces are initiated by the wife. In addition,
Again, the end result. That's the end result, dude. We're not talking about the marriage.
No.
Hey, Rudy, did you get an exit poll
Wait,
when
hold
you
on,
filed
hold on.
your divorce?
Hold on real quick, though. Hold on real
Hold
quick.
on, after he's done.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so the point that I was making again was about emotion, and we know that women. I mean, because it's like Ruthless was saying, it's hard to quantify why someone got divorced. You know what I'm saying? There's a
Right.
myriad of reasons. So I couldn't begin to have that much hubris to say, oh, why this person got divorced or why that person got divorced. I don't have that much hubris to say that, right? At the same time, what I could say is, 70% now, as of 2022, of marriages are ending in divorce, and the women are filing the divorce. I could say that.
Or you could just be, a bigger person in a conversation and say, hey, Izzy, you got divorced, huh? What happened? What went wrong? And just have the conversations.
So,
Because by default, what you're doing every time you say that is assigning blame to women.
No,
And it's not looking at the total.
Stop it.
No, but I mean, I need you.
That's Raw B. No,
No, I need you.
No.
I need you to really look at the
Robbie-
underlying message of what you're saying.
No, I'm
So-
hold on real quick, Ruthless. What I'm saying is I'm looking at the numbers and I'm telling you what the numbers are. That's not, no, men lie, women lie, Numbers don't lie. That's
What is-
mathematics. So I can't speak to anybody.
But you have to
So-
contextualize. Your numbers are right, but all these conversations we have to contextualize it. Like we look up the stats of crime rates in certain places. It's just an example. And somebody commits a crime out of defense, like I had to defend my stuff, but they're still committed as a crime. We go by race, for example. It'd be like, oh wait, well this person, the percentage of, let's say, like black people. It'd be like, why? Oh, it doesn't matter. All it says is that they're higher in this certain area and this neighborhood, and we have to contextualize these things. So we can still say numbers don't lie, but numbers have meaning behind it depending on where and why they do these things, and why we're marking it off as if, like, you know, it's just numbers, but it's not just numbers. It depends on why these things happen.
But
And you also have
we
to
could
focus
clearly,
on the
well, hold on
pool
real
and
quick. We could clearly state that women are more would we all agree that generally speaking women are more emotional than men? Could we all come to that
No.
common
No,
we
men and
can't?
women are equally emotional.
Really? So
Men
I
don't
think
get
there's a
to-
lot of
men,
young
just
men who are
because you
emotional
don't-
nowadays.
not equally as emotional as women. That's
Have you seen
absolutely
my
not true.
comments in my videos?
No,
But how do we
I'm not familiar. I'm
quantify
sorry, Rudy. I'm
emotional?
not familiar with you, man. This is the first
It's good,
time
man.
I'm
It's all
coming. Nice to meet you, though, Rudy. It's a pleasure
Yeah.
meeting. I like
Right,
the gray of the beard, man. That's smooth.
Yeah, thank
yeah,
you, man.
but
Thank
also
you.
to further Angela's point as well, you also have to look at the sample size and number of people that actually partook in the survey that causes them to literally come up in the first place as well. You can't assume that like every single American nationwide has partaken like divorces and everything, even though they have like dash from the states. Even like certain states have on account certain divorces as well, according to the CDC as well, which we also have to factor in also. So there's a possibility that that number could be skewed if you know what's going on. So we can't just like look at the fastest all and thinking like, oh, this is all clear. But what's the meaning behind that? How many people actually partook in the survey? How many people actually like partook in divorces? Are there any laws that actually like came by that made any skewed ordeals from state to state to state to
See,
state?
this
That's how
was
deep
a
it is.
national survey, but brother, this is what I'm talking about. Like you overthink.
That was an
things, my brother.
advertisement for a law
You
firm.
but you overthink things. The deal is that actually is went down, so that's a good thing. It went down 9%. It went down 9% of first marriages as far as divorce. It went from 50% to 41%. So that's something to be celebrated across the United States. That's a good thing, right?
Right.
But you know, we can't we can't try to conflate the argument to just be right. Like 70%, 70%, 80% is 80%. It is what it is, whether we like it or not. It's what it is.
Yeah,
Numbers don't
I'm
lie.
saying it from like a deeper perspective because I've been around the whole engineering and mathematics space for like a while. I have my master's in applied mathematics and statistics. I've been around. I was involved in like a PhD program and then PhD candidacy for about a year and a half in mathematics. So we can't just like look at like the end result and see what's going on. We need to see like the how and why these numbers are actually literally going on in the first place. See, there's any skew stuff that's literally going on why those numbers are where they are.
So, but
where did
what's
they get
the
those
point
scores from on that site?
doing this? What's the point? Listen, but that's listen. You know if you have a master's in applied mathematics, do you understand that clearly 100% of people are not going to be in any survey? Period.
None.
So what we can say is clearly out of the people who did the survey, 70% of those people, the divorces were filed by women. And we also know by the study that you said from 2009 and I said from 2019, it was 80% during those times. So it went down. So it's fair to say that 70% would be pretty much accurate. That's a fair assessment.
And I think, Izzy, we have to be careful with that stat because, again, you've been married, I've been married. Anybody who's been married knows there's more to it than just a person filing. I mean, it's like years of something occurring. No one gets married to fail. And, you know, again, there are some women out there, I've seen those horror stories where the first inconvenience comes about and they quit or somebody quits. I've seen plenty of stories like that, but there's a lot of people out there. The majority of the stories you don't hear that don't go viral, the people have tried for fucking years. And it's not that they're quitting, they tried. And if you have a partner that's not meeting you halfway, male or female, what are you supposed to do? Stay in that marriage for the rest of your life and be with somebody who doesn't appreciate you and is ignoring you?
No,
I disagree, dude.
No, you're not. And this is
I would
the
not
thing.
want no.
We reasonably listen, reasonably, Rudy. That's reasonable. That's reasonable what you're saying, but that's
You're
not
locked
the
up.
argument.
It's like a life sentence, man.
Yeah. Hey, look, Rudy, that's more than reasonable, but that's not the argument. But that's more than reasonable what you're saying.
Can I
So this is.
I just want to interject.
Yeah, I got you, Angela. Thank you.
I really
My
feel like
channel?
also
Go to
that
the study.
also that America, the country that we're in, the social construct that we're in, is also a part of the caring of the family, right? And it's once again, it's a bunch of nuances, and all we can do now is move forward and bring solutions on how can we keep them together, how can we build these families, keep building to be better for the future. That's what these conversations are all about, right? Can we be better? Should women be more patient and need to stick it out more? Can we say that? Yes. Can men be not check out of the relationship so quick and be leaders that they're supposed to be? Yes, right? So we all got our partners, and we all need to accept responsibility on how to correct the correctable things.
And we
So
just spent
this
the previous hour. We were talking about how people aren't ready for relationships and what they need to do to mature. It's the same thing with marriage. A lot of people are going into marriage not ready for it, or they're forcing the situation, or they're getting married for the wrong reasons. So it's set up for failure at the very beginning.
Fine. Yeah, I mean, but there's no excuse for breaking the law.
What law?
This is the thing, right? Oh God, I'm not playing these games. This is the thing. So, like I was saying, when people pull out stats like that, they are low-key assigning blame. Oh well, women are filing for the majority of divorces because women are emotional, right? Now, the reality is that's a improvable argument, because unless you actually went and followed up on that baseline study and did further research into that 70% of women to find out the causality as to why they file for a divorce, you're just making an assumption based off some facts. I mean, you could put your thumb down if you want to, I guess, if that's how we have to communicate, because I didn't do any of that while you were talking, but
You didn't,
you know.
You did.
I guess, but I'm the emotional one as a woman. But at the end of the day,
emotional. I'm just saying that's a thumbs down argument, Robbie, because that's intellectually dishonest, and you know it.
Actually,
just because you articulate and orate well does not mean that your argument.
Oh my God, I can't even finish saying.
Go ahead, Robbie. Go ahead.
So, from a scientific principle, right? There are baseline studies that lead to further studies from a sociological aspect when we want to get to the root cause of why things are happening. That would be considered a baseline study at best. And at the end of the day, that looked like it was woven into an advertisement for a law firm. Of course, lawyers are pandering and catering to and inflating the narrative that women are filing for divorce more, because the person that files first actually wins. And that's the gag and the drag of it all, too. Everybody could be miserable, but guess what? A man knows if he files for divorce, more likely than not, he's going to lose, because he's going to have to pay some type of alimony based on the length of the marriage. He's going to have to do a division of assets. And most times he's not really ready to move on, which is why they have the colloquial terminology that it is cheaper to keep her.
That's the point.
That's not
my point. Thank you.
I'm
my point. Thank you.
I'm not proving.
I appreciate you did an excellent job.
I'm actually not proving
Thank
your
you.
point. I mean, that was quite an emotional outburst. The reality is, men will sit there and be miserable, and they'll step outside of their relationship because one of the top 3 causes for divorces are, in fact, infidelity. So men will be emotionally finances.
The first one is lack of commitment. If you go to the Forbes website, they did a survey. They have 2023 stats. The number 1 reason was lack of commitment.
Well,
then infidelity.
Money.
Depending on the study. No, depending on the study is communication. Different studies have it different ways. Some studies have communication first, then other studies have money first, then other studies have infidelity first. But by and large, communication is the largest reason why most people get a divorce, then infidelity, then money, and it goes so forth and so on.
Listen, at the end of the day, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna jump because fruit is not barren. If you want to sit there, and
it's giving,
it's not
low hanging fruit. It's giving.
It is. Don't play with it.
Low hanging fruit, Robbie.
Don't play with it. If you are in a type of mental space where you want to look at your interpersonal relationships on a global worldwide view based on social media or statistics, I'm telling you right now, you're going to fail every time. The reality is grown adults in relationships have to shut out the inferences of the outside world and actually focus on the person that they're with. It's very easy to get caught up in the drama and blame a statistic or blame one gender or the other. At the end of the day, start with the person in the mirror, because 100 times out of 100, it's you.
That was my initial. Well, hold on, Robbie. That was my initial argument. So you're preaching to the choir. Never did I bring up a statistic to point blame or to point fingers. The argument was that women do not get in the relationship based on emotion, and I use that statistic to what they call it, give empirical evidence that women do in relationships depend on emotion, and whatever the reason or the excuse is that they're exercising this emotion and filing divorce. So
please show me in your study. Please show me in that study.
I do not rate my relations. Hold on, real quick. I wasn't saying.
No.
I don't rate my relationships. I don't rate. No, I didn't. You was finished. I don't rate my relationships based on any social media, based on any type of study or any type of data. I don't do that. I don't have to do that. At the same time, we were having a conversation, and this conversation is being conflated. But I do appreciate you having me on, Angela. Thank you so much. You've been gracious. It's been a pleasure meeting everybody.
Thanks
you know
so
what I'm saying?
much.
Meeting you, Nerd Chronicles,
Anytime.
you Neve, you Rudy, and I already know you, Robbie. So peace.
But don't run. Don't run.
I'm
because
out.
at the end of the day,
no, I'm out.
I mean, go ahead. That's emotional. That's what I would
I'm
expect
messing
you
with
to
you.
do.
Oh,
I'm about to say.
I'm
So
playing.
at
Go
the
ahead.
end of the day, what it really is given is this. I want you to show me in the study that you pulled up, based on that empirical data, where 70% of women that filed because they were emotional.
Come
I
on,
think
Robbie.
I have
This
something
is
like
you.
this.
You tried it. You listen, Robbie. You're trying it, and I give you that you are very astute. And you are. I'm not one of the great debaters. That's not my thing. I'm not a debater. And I see what you're doing, and kudos to you, Robbie. Kudos to you. I see what you're attempting to do. Because you know, in the language of the law, the language of statistics, they're not going to speak such words. So, hey, listen.
In the language of empirical data, in the language of empirical data and studies, they actually do have several categories on which they break down statistics. And all I'm simply asking you, you said that was empirical data. Empirical data is very, very clear.
I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the 70% of women. The empirical data is 70% of women. That 70% of people that file for divorce are women. That's the empirical data. But again, you're trying to conflate. Hold on, you're trying to conflate the argument in order to try to be right. No, you're emotional.
No,
you even pulled out your fan on me, Robbie. You pulled out the Flame Monroe fan, like. Come on,
first of all, that's not emotional. That's are you serious? No, that's no, that's don't play with it.com. But at the end of the day, you said empirical data. Empirical data is very, very clear. What that article actually states. Let me help you. So the next time you try to pull that up, you can further elucidate.
I don't need your help. I appreciate
what that article actually states is simply that 70% of women file for divorce. That's it. And, that's all.
That's the one by Dr. Michael Rosenfeld, right? From the Stanford.edu, the gender breakup. Is that the one?
No. It's in the back chat.
Yeah, it's in the back chat. The Stanford.edu.
I put the link in the back chat.
Beautiful.
Right.
Beautiful. Well, this was a very pleasant conversation. I gotta wrap this baby up. Anybody have any closing statement? Closing point?
Yeah, deep. Very deep.
Yeah.
But
to be continued. There's so much more we got to talk about on this.
Right.
Shout out to Modern Warfare. I'm not Red Pill. Anybody will tell you I'm not Red Pill. I probably am Manosphere adjacent, perhaps. but I'm not manosphere either. But you know, it was very pleasant. I'm doing the same thing because if I'm manosphere, you're manosphere too, Raw B Privilege. So hey,
No, I'm not.
yes, you are. Then I'm just as manosphere as you. We're in the same space, Robbie. Stop.
I love women. I love women too much.
I love women too. I love
like
women
I
too.
love women like how God loves them.
No,
You
I love women how God.
for the
Well, I
juicy
love
and
women
the
how a man loves women. But anyway, listen, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure for y'all. You know, I appreciate you, Angela, having me up. Thank you. It's been nice meeting you, Rudy. It's been nice meeting you, Neve.
Nice meeting
you. The Nerd Chronicles.
Yeah, Nerd Chronicles,
easy, man. God bless y'all.
Amen.
Listen, can I promote my channel? Is that okay? Or
do your thing. Shout yourself out.
Yeah, I'm Israel Mills 4183. Y'all can check me out over there. It's your man Izzy Bands, aka Israel Mills. You know the deal. Check me out, Israel Mills 4183. I'll be on live almost every day. I don't be hanging out with Robbie Privilege because she might rub off on me.
No, whatever. Bye, Israel. I'm not even gonna pander to. I'm not gonna cater to that.
The love. I can feel the love.
Amen.
Neve, you've been really quiet. I get nervous when you're this quiet. It ain't right, you know.
I've been listening. I think that it's been a long time since I've heard quality rebuts, and when Raw talks, I just listen because I feel like
I do like
just
when Robbie talks. I will
she's
have
a
to
wealth
say I
of
can
knowledge.
appreciate it.
I very admire the way you attack and disseminate, or I love the way you dissect stupid arguments. So I like listening because I'm like, I got my little pen out.
It's like I can appreciate like I guess the discourse that you guys kind of had, because I see why men continuously state those stats. I hate the stat itself, but I don't think I've gotten to a point where I can truly break it down to where I can get through them. Like I'm still trying to figure out my wording to where it just clicks, and I can't seem to figure it out. It's because we're constantly saying it's just a stat and it's just a stat. I'm like, it's not just a stat. We have to contextualize everything, and everybody wants it for everything in life except for when it comes to the divorce part. It doesn't make any sense to me. I was like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's frustrating.
And Robbie, to answer your question from like 20 minutes ago, no, I didn't complete a poll. I didn't complete a survey at the end of my divorce. No.
Exactly, and that's the point. So that's why a lot of these stats are crazy. And I've been telling people like forever, I don't believe in stats like that, because the Nerd Chronicle is right. It's very disingenuous the way that they disseminate information. Like they could literally take a focus group of 10, and if 7 women have filed divorce, then that's 70% of women. So they're telling you the truth, but it's not a full picture.
It's not full portion, small sample size.
Yeah.
The thing is with that article, we don't thoroughly know how big that sample size is. But again, as I was trying to explain to Izzy here, there's the article where it actually has the source from, which is actually a Michael Roosevelt's article. Decently deals with the general breakup. I already posted up the link down below that actually stems from 2009 through 2015. So that's when hearing the term 70% of women filed for divorce, with like 80% of them literally just ending by females and all that stuff. You know what I mean? That's what all that statistics come from, that Coach Greg Adams mainly preached and all these other red pill gurus mainly preach. That's where the link comes from. So that's why I want to try to bring that up as well. Now, in my case in all of this here, I definitely tag you, Angela, when it comes to a situation with like Unfiltered, on like how Fresh Virginia over here is being very, very hypocritical on their method on getting women. Well, you see like a couple dudes, maybe 2-3 of them up in their 20s trying to preach all this high value lifestyle, but they didn't really do that much experience of digging. I do have a video on that if you want to try and check it out. Through my channel. My channel is literally on the link right down below where that little square is, where the Nerd Chronicles is. That's where my channel definitely is. You're actually welcome to look at certain stuff, as well as looking at the actual divorce rates with all these red pill ideas that they mainly preach about. You're welcome to do that. I'm definitely a professional statistician and mathematician that's actually been doing this for like a very, very long time. Got my undergraduate in engineering. I have my master's in applied mathematics and statistics. And again, I was a PhD candidate for mathematics for about 1.5 years. So no, Kristen is not dumb whenever they talk about statistics and everything. Kristen can actually try to see right through it. Kristen will ask some questions on where you get those statistics from before they actually try to aggressively just punch the number down. Let's try to figure out like what's causing those issues before we try to move forward based on what your claims are, so that we try to verify your claims, whether or not you're wrong or you're right, or if I'm wrong or if I'm right. just to make sure we're on the same page so that the viewers up at home understand like what they're dealing with so that they don't get fucked over socially Lily down the line. And with that, you know, I know it's definitely going to be a lot. I'm definitely going to Lily sign out. I'll let y'all for Lily have at it. All right, you guys have a good one. I know Angie got a lot to do. Y'all take care.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Take care. Bye-bye. Okay.
Oh, another score. I think that I am going to let one of you two have the last word because I am so tired. Thank you to everyone who's been on the panel tonight. Really nice to see you again. You always have some really well thought out and articulate insights into dating, and I know that you have a lot of experience exploring the topics. Raw, you know how I feel about you. Angela, always a good time. And shout out to Nerd. That guy impressed the fuck out of me, actually. I really admire his approach to a lot of the topics in that conversation. I think that was really cool of him. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Fuck everyone else. Bye.
Oh my God, Neva's crazy. I love her. Listen, I'm gonna let you close out your show. Thanks for having me. You guys come check me out. Ruby Privilege, Angela. Anytime you're having a conversation, hit me up on the inbox. I'll come through.
Oh, thank you. All right, bye.
Bye, guys.
I got nothing to say. How did I end up being the last guy? I was trying to.
You know, it's all good. I'm really glad these conversations are getting a lot more civil. You know, from the beginning of this panel stuff, it was getting so crazy in the beginning, and I was starting to wonder, like, is this always gonna have to be like crazy and like Fight Club? Like, I was like, I really hate those types of conversation. Even though there was a lot of back and forth this day, I actually like the back and forth. I think that's healthy. Even though I don't agree with the talking points, but it was like everybody was really, really respectful, which I can appreciate. So yeah, thank you for pulling up, Rudy. We always need the dads and the moms and the adults here because I think the rest of us kids are trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, again, always thanks for having me. And again, actually, have something really important to say.
What's up? You guys are doing this to me as of lately. Well, that was a good one. Well played. I gotta take my ass to bed, guys. I have a long day tomorrow. I know this stream is supposed to be, are you a nice guy or a good guy? But it was a really open, shut case conversation, to be really honest. You just have to know who the hell you are and what your intentions are. And if you don't know your intentions, I would assume your intentions are probably not the best because it seems like you don't know what you're doing either. I think that we have to be aware of ourselves and you really just grow up, guys. Grow up. Go touch some grass. Quit listening to people who don't really care about you. And formulate some healthy relationships with yourself, God, or your girlfriend or your wife or your husband or your brother or your sister, whoever it is. Love somebody and quit being so goddamn selfish. This generation is starting to creep me out. And contextualize your stats because that's a big thing that we're not doing anymore. We're letting the books run our life. Y'all are becoming very book smart and y'all are forgetting to be street smart. We need both. We need to understand what these things mean. I'm still learning just as much as everybody else, so thank you to everyone who's fucking smart as shit and not trolling on my level of ignorance and my limited vocabulary. I'm getting better every day. I think that's pretty much it. But if you guys have any comments or questions or what the next topic should be, but I am doing the girls video, guy video. We're going to figure out a topic for women Saturday. Leave a comment. Let me know what I should do different and be nice, be awesome. Do I have to address any other chats? Everybody's good? Everyone's good. If you guys aren't in the Discord, please go to the Discord so I can share you the links and stuff. I know Angry Ginger, I don't know if you have a Discord, but just download it so we can share you the links and stuff. Nobody really emails anymore. Anybody who else wants to communicate and stuff like that, join the Discord. Shot's always there. He's always being an absolute troll. Israel, thanks for pulling up. Dalton Green, thanks for always being in the chat. I appreciate you. Robbie, you're too smart. I honestly, I would just listen to all the adults talk. I actually feel like a child when you guys are talking. But yes, this has been a great conversation. I look forward to having more of these conversations. Thank you to everyone from different channels for copping on over and expressing your thoughts and bringing your people also and being civil and being kind and being respectful and being an absolute troll. All the above. Bye, guys.